The Search. 5 years after humanity vanished, High Speaker Oryx made a decision. The galaxy was dying. Wars spread across every sector. Diseases killed millions. Ships sat useless in ports. Something had to be done. "We must find them," Oryx told the council. "We must find the humans and bring them back, or at least learn why they left." For once, every species agreed. The search began. It was the largest effort in galactic history. Every species contributed ships, scientists, and resources. Old enemies worked together for the first time in centuries. The shared mission gave them purpose. They started with the clues left behind. A human military officer named Kite had commanded border patrols along the galaxy's edge. His ship, called the Wanderer, was found drifting in empty space near Earth's sun. The ship was undamaged. Its fuel was full. Its systems were working perfectly. Investigators read them carefully. Most entries were normal. Reports about patrol routes, notes about ship maintenance, complaints about bad food. But the final entry was different. It said, "Receive the call. Time to go home." Investigators searched the ship for more information. They found Kite's uniform folded neatly on his bed. They found his weapons locked in their cases. They found his family photos on his desk. His wife, his 2 sons, all smiling at the camera. Kite had left everything behind. Everything except himself. More ships were found across the galaxy. Human cargo vessels, human research stations, human outposts on lonely moons. Every location told the same story. The humans had stopped whatever they were doing. They had put down their tools. They had walked away from their lives. And they had left no explanation. The search expanded to Earth. Teams from every species landed on the human homeworld. They explored empty cities. They walked through silent streets. They entered homes where food still sat on tables and clothes still hung in closets. Everything was preserved. Power systems still worked. Water still flowed. Gardens still grew. Automated machines still cleaned and maintained and repaired. But the people were gone. In a research laboratory in a city called Seoul, investigators found the notes of a scientist named Mi-Ray. She had been studying something strange at the edge of the galaxy, a region of space where normal physics did not apply, where light bent in impossible ways, where time moved differently. Mi-Ray had written thousands of pages about this region. Most of it was mathematical formulas that no alien could understand. But her personal journal was written in simple words. "I have been hearing something," she wrote. "At first, I thought I was going crazy. A sound that is not a sound. A voice that speaks without words. It comes from the edge, from beyond." Her entries grew more excited as days passed. "Others are hearing it too. My colleague Jaewon called me yesterday. He thought he was alone. He was relieved to learn that I hear it also. We are trying to understand what it means." Then, a week before the vanishing, "We understand now. Finally, we understand. It is not a threat. It is not a warning. It is an invitation. Something is calling us. Something ancient and vast and beautiful. It has been calling for so long. How did we not hear it before?" Her final entry was short. "We are going. All of us. The whole species. We discussed it without speaking, decided without voting. We simply know. This is what we were always meant to do. This is where we were always meant to go. I am not afraid. I am ready. We are coming." The investigators read her words again and again. They ran tests on the paper. They analyzed her handwriting. They confirmed that Mi-Ray had written these words herself, with her own hand, in her own mind. She had not been controlled. She had not been tricked. She had chosen to leave. But where had she gone? What had called her? Ships traveled to the edge of the galaxy. They scanned the region Mi-Ray had studied. They found nothing unusual. Empty space, distant stars, cold darkness. If something was there, It did not show itself to alien eyes. Years passed. The search continued. Every lead ended in nothing. Every clue raised more questions. Oryx grew old during those years. His blue skin faded. His 4 eyes grew weak. But he refused to give up. He read every report. He studied every piece of evidence. He tried to understand what no one could understand. Late one night, alone in his office, he spoke to the empty air. "Where did you go, Teho? What did you hear that we cannot hear? What do you know that we cannot know?" The silence gave no answer. But somewhere, in the depths of the galaxy's archives, a young historian was about to make a discovery that would change everything. The humans were not the first to vanish. They would not be the last. And the reason for their departure was older than any species could imagine. #. The realization had passed since humanity departed. High Speaker Oryx was very old now. His scales had turned white. His body was weak. But his mind remained sharp, and his heart still carried the weight of the great mystery. A young Velnorian historian named Dren requested a meeting with him. She was small and eager, with bright yellow eyes that sparkled with excitement. She carried a stack of ancient documents under her arm. "I found something," she said. "Something important. Something that changes everything." Oryx invited her to sit. He had heard many claims over the years. Hundreds of researchers had promised answers. All of them had failed. But something in Dren's voice made him listen. "I was studying our oldest records," Dren explained, "documents from before our empire existed, before we traveled between stars. I found references to a species called the Silverine." Oryx nodded slowly. "They were artists, I believe. Musicians. They disappeared long ago." 12,000 years ago, Dren confirmed. "They were part of an ancient galactic community. They built beautiful things. They sang songs that made other species weep with joy. And then one day, they vanished." She spread her documents on Oryx's desk, ancient papers covered with faded writing. No one knew why they left. No one found their bodies. No one received any warning. They simply disappeared overnight. Does this sound familiar? Oryx's old hearts began to beat faster. "Go on." "I searched deeper. I found another species, the Kelth. They vanished 20,000 years ago. They were builders. They constructed structures that still stand today on 100 worlds. No one knows how they made them, and no one knows where they went." She pulled out more documents. "Then I found the primordials. Their real name is lost to time. They existed 50,000 years ago. They were the first known species to achieve space travel. They explored half the galaxy. They left writings on stone tablets across thousands of planets. And then they vanished too." Oryx stared at the papers. His hands trembled. "3 species," he whispered. 3 advanced species. All disappeared without explanation. "Not 3, Dren said quietly. "I found 7 more, all from different times, all at different levels of advancement, all gone without a trace, and all of them left the same message." She handed him a translation of an ancient primordial text. The words were simple and clear. "When you are ready, you will understand." Oryx read the message 3 times. He thought about Mirei's journal. He thought about Kite's final log. He thought about Teho's unfinished letter to his daughter. "They were not taken," he said slowly. "They chose to leave. All of them. The Silverine, the Kelth, the Primordials. They heard something. They understood something. And they departed." "Yes," Dren agreed. "And the humans were just the latest. The most recent species to reach whatever threshold allows them to hear the call." Oryx stood from his chair. His old legs complained, but he ignored them. He walked to his window and looked out at the stars. "We called them primitive," he said. "We thought they were young and foolish and weak. We believed we were the advanced ones, the wise ones, the important ones." He turned back to Dren. "But we were wrong. We have been part of galactic civilization for 100,000 years. We have built empires and conquered worlds, and developed technologies beyond counting. And yet we have never heard this call. We have never reached this threshold. We have never been invited to, wherever they went. Dren nodded sadly. I believe the humans understood things we cannot understand. They felt things we cannot feel. Their short lives, their emotional nature, their strange ability to connect with others. These were not weaknesses. They were gifts. Gifts that made them ready for something greater. Oryx returned to his desk. He sat heavily in his chair. I spent 50 years trying to find them, he said. 50 years searching for answers. And now I understand the truth. We cannot find them because we cannot follow them. We are not ready. We may never be ready. He looked at Dren with tired eyes. Call a meeting of the council. I have one final address to give. The next day, Oryx stood before the Galactic Council for the last time. The chamber was full. Representatives from every species waited to hear his words. The empty human chairs still sat in their usual place, preserved as a memorial. Oryx spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. For 50 years we have searched for answers. Today I will share what we have learned. The truth is difficult. The truth is humbling. But the truth must be told. He explained Dren's discoveries. He told them about the Silverine and the Kelth and the Primordials. He showed them the ancient messages. He described the pattern that repeated across thousands of years. We are not alone in losing a species, he said. And we are not special in our confusion. Many civilizations before us have watched their most advanced members simply walk away. Many civilizations have asked the same questions we ask now. He paused and looked around the chamber. The humans did not abandon us out of cruelty. They did not leave because they hated us or feared us or grew tired of us. They left because they evolved beyond us. They reached a level of existence that we cannot comprehend. They answered a call that we cannot hear. His voice grew soft. We are not the pinnacle of galactic civilization. We never were. We are the ones who stay behind, the ones who are not yet ready, the ones who still have growing to do. He bowed his head. Perhaps one day we will grow enough. Perhaps one day we will hear the call too. Until then, we must learn from what the humans left us, their cities, their technologies, their knowledge, their hope. They did not take these things with them. They left them for us, a gift, a guide, a promise that there is something more. He looked at the empty chairs one last time. Goodbye, my friends, wherever you are. I hope you found what you were seeking. The chamber remained silent long after he finished speaking. 100 years after humanity departed, a signal reached the Galactic Council. High Speaker Oryx had died 30 years earlier. His successor, a young Velnorian named Thane, now led the council. The galaxy had changed much since the humans left. Wars had ended. Old enemies had become friends. Species that once hated each other now worked together. The humans had left more than technology behind. They had left an example. Their kindness, their hope, their belief in cooperation. These ideas had spread slowly across the galaxy. Other species began to understand what the humans had understood. Connection mattered more than conquest. Friendship mattered more than power. The signal came from beyond the edge of the galaxy, from a direction no ship had ever traveled. From darkness so deep that no telescope could see through it. The signal used frequencies that only human communication systems recognized. It took scientists 3 days to decode it. When they finally understood its contents, they called an emergency meeting of the council. The chamber was packed. Every species sent representatives. Even the Dref, who rarely left their homeworld anymore, traveled across the galaxy to attend. A large screen hung above the empty human chairs. The decoded signal appeared on it. A video began to play. Ambassador Tejo stood in a place unlike anything the delegates had ever seen. Light surrounded him, but it was not normal light. Colors moved and shifted in ways that hurt alien eyes to watch. Shapes existed in the background, but they were not shapes that made sense. They bent and twisted and changed constantly. Behind Tejo, other humans gathered, thousands of them, millions. The camera seemed to see them all at once, impossibly. Scientists and engineers and artists and children. Old faces and young faces, all of them smiling. And among the humans stood other beings. Tall, graceful creatures that glowed with inner light. The Silverine, returned from 12,000 years of absence. Massive stone-like figures that moved with surprising gentleness. The Kelth, lost for 20,000 years, and others. Beings so ancient that no records of their existence survived. The Primordials, and species older still. All together, all at peace, all waiting. Tejo spoke. His voice was warm and kind, exactly as Oryx had remembered it. "Hello, old friends. It has been a long time. I hope this message finds you well. I hope the galaxy has healed some of the wounds we saw forming when we left." He smiled sadly. "I know you have questions. I know you are confused. I know some of you are angry. We left without saying goodbye. We departed without explanation. That was cruel, and I am sorry." He gestured to the strange space around him. "But we could not explain, not because we did not want to, because you would not have believed us. You could not have understood. Some things cannot be told. They must be experienced." He took a deep breath. "There is something beyond the edge, something older than the first star, something larger than any mind can imagine. It does not have a name that your languages can speak. It does not exist in ways that your science can measure. But it is there. It has always been there, and it has been waiting." The colors behind him shifted and swirled. It does not conquer, it does not demand, it does not judge. It simply invites. When a species grows enough, learns enough, loves enough, they begin to hear its call, a whisper at first. Then, a door opens, and they can choose to step through. He looked directly at the camera, as if he could see through time and space to the delegates watching. We heard the call, all 8 billion of us, at the same moment. We understood what it meant, and we chose to answer. Not because we were tired of you, not because we wanted to leave, but because something beautiful waited on the other side. Something we could not refuse. Tears formed in his eyes, but he kept smiling. "We did not abandon you. We would never abandon you. We left everything behind, our cities, our ships, our knowledge, our tools, because we knew you would need them. We left our homes unlocked and our lights on, because we wanted you to know that you are welcome to everything we built." He spread his arms wide. "Think of it as a gift, a thank you for letting us be part of your story, even for a little while. We were only in the galactic community for 80 years, but those years meant everything to us. You taught us so much. You challenged us. You made us better." Behind him, the other humans nodded. The Silverine glowed brighter. The Kelth hummed with low vibrations. "One day, you will hear the call too. Maybe not soon, maybe not for thousands of years, but it will come. When your species have grown beyond war, beyond fear, beyond the need to prove yourselves greater than others, the door will open for you." He pressed his hand against his chest. "We will be waiting, all of us, the humans and the Silverine and the Kelth and the Primordials, and every species that came before. We are all here together, and there is room for everyone. There will always be room for everyone." His smile grew wider. "Until then, keep building, keep learning, keep reaching for the stars. The universe is so much bigger than you know, and it loves you." even when you could not feel it. He bowed his head slightly. Goodbye, friends. Be kind to each other. Take care of the galaxy. And know that when your time comes, we will greet you with open arms. The video flickered and changed. One final image appeared. Earth, seen from space. Blue and green and white, beautiful, alive. Then the signal ended. The council chamber remained silent for a long time. No one spoke. No one moved. Delegates from species that had fought for centuries sat together in peace, sharing the weight of what they had witnessed. High Speaker Thane finally stood. His voice was thick with emotion. They did not leave us behind, he said. They lit the path forward. He looked at the empty human chairs. We have much work to do, much growing, much learning, but now we know where the path leads. Now we have hope. He raised his hand in the human gesture of farewell that Teho had taught the council decades ago. Until we meet again, humanity, until we meet again. Across the galaxy, the message was broadcast to every world. Species that had never cooperated before joined hands. Wars ended permanently. Old hatred faded away. The galaxy began to grow. And somewhere beyond the edge, in a place of impossible light, humanity waited, patient, hopeful, ready to welcome their old friends home. Whenever they were ready, however long it took. The morning began like any other in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. Delegates from 37 species took their seats. The air smelled of different atmospheres, pumped through special tubes to keep each alien comfortable. Lights of many colors filled the chamber. Voices spoke in 100 languages, all translated by machines that floated above each seat. High Speaker Oryx of the Valnorian Empire sat at the center of the hall. His blue skin glowed softly under the lights. His 4 eyes scanned the room as delegates settled into their chairs. Everything seemed normal. Then he noticed the empty seats. The human section had 5 chairs. Ambassador Teho always sat in the middle one. He was a loud man with a big smile. He laughed at his own jokes. He brought a drink called coffee to every meeting and offered it to anyone who would try it. Most aliens found it disgusting. But Teho never stopped offering. Today, his chair was empty. All 5 human chairs were empty. Oryx checked his schedule. The humans had no reason to be absent. There was no human holiday. No emergency had been reported. He sent a message to the human embassy. No reply came. The meeting continued. Oryx pushed his worry aside. Humans were often strange. They did unexpected things. They would probably arrive late with some silly excuse and that terrible coffee. But the meeting ended. The humans never came. By afternoon, reports began arriving from across the galaxy. Each report said the same thing. The humans were gone. The Karathi Collective sent a message first. Their flagship had been receiving repairs at the Neptune shipyards. Human engineers had been working on their engines for 3 weeks. This morning, the Karathi captain woke to find every human worker missing. Tools lay on the floor. Machines were still running. Food sat on tables, still warm. But the humans had vanished. The Marathi Medical Consortium reported next. Their hospital station near Earth had 200 human doctors and nurses. All of them were gone. Patients woke to find their beds unattended. Medicine dispensers stood open. Surgery rooms were empty mid-operation, with machines still beeping. More reports came. Hundreds. Then thousands. Human traders had left their ships floating in space, cargo holds full of goods. Human farmers had abandoned their fields, crops ready for harvest. Human teachers had walked out of classrooms, lessons half finished on their boards. Human soldiers had left their posts, weapons still in their hands. Not dead, not captured, just gone. Oryx sent investigators to the human embassy on the station. The doors were unlocked. Inside, everything looked normal. Desks were neat. Computers were on. In the kitchen, a pot of water was boiling on the stove. Someone had been making tea. In Ambassador Tejo's office, investigators found his favorite cup still full of cold coffee. His jacket hung on his chair. His family photos sat on his desk, smiling faces frozen behind glass. His personal tablet lay open to a half-written message to his daughter back on Earth. The message said, "My dear Sumin, I wanted to tell you that I—" It ended there, mid-sentence, as if he had simply stopped existing. The investigators searched every room. They found no signs of violence, no signs of struggle, no signs of any forced removal. The humans had not been taken. They had not been attacked. They had simply left. Oryx called an emergency session of the council. Every species sent their highest representatives. The Great Hall was full, except for those 5 empty chairs. "We must consider the possibility of an attack," said General Veth of the Teth Dominion. "Some enemy has stolen them, kidnapped an entire species." "Impossible," said Scholar Mirren of the Dreth. Her tentacles waved in disagreement. "No technology exists that could transport billions of beings across thousands of light years in a single night. No species has such power." "Then where are they?" Veth demanded. No one had an answer. Oryx ordered search parties to Earth. The human homeworld was a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. Humans had lived there for thousands of years before joining the galactic community. Perhaps the answers were there. The search parties found nothing. Earth was intact, beautiful, alive. Cities stood tall, their lights still glowing. Farms grew food, factories produced goods, rivers flowed, birds sang. Everything worked perfectly. But there were no humans anywhere. 8 billion people had lived on Earth. 8 billion people were now missing. Their homes stood empty. Their cars sat parked. Their beds were unmade. Their dinners grew cold. On every human colony world, the story was the same. Mars, Europa, the stations around Jupiter, the settlements in distant star systems, all empty, all preserved, all waiting for people who would never return. Oryx stood before the council that night. His 4 eyes were tired. His blue skin had faded to gray with exhaustion. "We have searched every human location in the galaxy," he said. "We have found no bodies, no weapons, no ships capable of carrying them away. We have found nothing except silence." He paused. The chamber was quiet. "I do not know where the humans have gone. I do not know why they left. I do not know if they will return. But I know this. They did not say goodbye. They did not leave a message. They did not warn us." He looked at the empty chairs. "And we must now face a galaxy without them." The delegates murmured among themselves. Some were worried. Some were confused. And some, Oryx noticed, were quietly pleased. Humans had always been troublesome, loud, demanding, different. Perhaps the galaxy would be better without them. Oryx hoped they were right. But deep in his heart, he felt a cold fear growing. Humans had been strange and annoying and chaotic. But they had also been everywhere, doing everything, connecting everyone. What would happen now that they were gone? The quiet collapse. 2 years passed after the humans vanished. At first, the galaxy moved on. Many species had never liked the humans anyway. The Velnorians thought humans talked too much. The Teth Dominion thought humans were too weak. The Karathi Collective thought humans were too emotional. Everyone agreed that humans were too young, too small, too unimportant. "Good riddance," said General Veth at a council meeting. Several delegates nodded in agreement. "Now we can finally have proper order in this galaxy." High Speaker Oryx said nothing. He remembered Tejo's laugh. He remembered the terrible coffee. He remembered how the human ambassador could make enemies shake hands after centuries of war. But he kept his thoughts to himself. The problem started slowly. Small things at first. easy to ignore. The Marathi Medical Consortium ran out of a certain medicine. It was called Compound 7. Human scientists had invented it 30 years ago. It cured a blood disease that killed millions of Marathi every year. The Marathi had been buying the medicine from human factories. Now the factories were empty. The machines still worked, but no one understood how to operate them. Marathi scientists tried to make the medicine themselves. They studied the formula. They copied every step. But the medicine they made did not work. Something was missing. Some human secret they could not discover. Within 6 months, the blood disease returned. Marathi started dying. Hospitals filled with sick patients. Doctors could do nothing but watch. The Marathi begged the council for help. Other species tried to assist. No one could make the medicine work. Then the ship started failing. A human engineer named Hyun Woo had worked for the Karathi Collective for 20 years. He was quiet and serious. He never smiled. He had designed a small device that stabilized faster than light engines. Without his device, ships could not travel safely between stars. Every major species used his design. 70% of all ships in the galaxy carried his stabilizers. Hyun Woo had maintained these devices himself. He had trained no one else. His notes were written in a human language that translation machines struggled to understand. His designs used mathematics that alien scientists found impossible to follow. When the stabilizers began failing, no one could fix them. Ships exploded in transit. Others became lost between stars, never arriving at their destinations. Trade routes collapsed. Cargo ships refused to fly. Planets that depended on imported food began to starve. The Karathi demanded answers. They threatened war. They accused other species of sabotage. But there was no sabotage. The humans were gone, and they had taken their knowledge with them. The communication network fell next. A human technician named Sora had built the Dreth relay stations. These stations connected every corner of the galaxy. They allowed instant communication across millions of light years. Sora had maintained them alone for 15 years. She had written manuals for every system. She had documented every process. But her documentation was useless. It described steps that made no sense to alien minds. It referenced concepts that no other species understood. It assumed knowledge that only humans possessed. The relay stations failed one by one. First the outer systems went dark, then the middle colonies, then the core worlds. Within a year, half the galaxy could not communicate with the other half. Old hatreds returned. The Valnorians and the Teth Dominion had been enemies for 10,000 years. Ambassador Tae-ho had negotiated peace between them. He had spent 5 years traveling between their worlds, listening to their grievances, finding common ground. His peace treaty had held for 30 years. Now with Tae-ho gone, the treaty meant nothing. Border disputes erupted. Ships exchanged fire. Soldiers died. Both sides blamed each other. Both sides prepared for war. The Marathi accused the Karathi of hoarding medical supplies. The Karathi accused the Marathi of stealing engine parts. The Dreth closed their borders completely, trusting no one. The Galactic Council tried to maintain order, but the Council had no power without cooperation, and cooperation had vanished with the humans. Oryx watched his galaxy fall apart. He attended meeting after meeting. He listened to accusations and threats. He watched delegates scream at each other across the Great Hall. He thought about Tae-ho often. The human ambassador had made peace seem easy. We would tell jokes during tense negotiations. He would share meals with enemies. He would find the one small thing that two species had in common and build everything from there. Oryx had always thought Tae-ho was lucky. Now he understood the truth. Tae-ho had been skilled in ways that no other species could match. He had understood something about connection, about compromise, about hope, that aliens simply could not grasp. Humans had lived short lives, 80 years, maybe 100 if they were lucky. But in those short years, they burned so brightly. They formed bonds instantly. They forgave easily. They believed in things they could not see. They had been the glue, the bridge, the thread that held everything together, and now they were gone. Oryx addressed the council on the 2nd anniversary of humanity's departure. His voice was heavy with exhaustion. "We called them children," he said. "We tolerated their presence because they were useful, because they filled the gaps we could not fill ourselves." He looked around the chamber. The empty human seats seemed larger than before. "We were wrong. We were so terribly wrong. They were not clinging to our civilization. They were carrying it, and we never even thanked them." The delegates fell silent. For once no one argued, no one blamed, no one shouted. They simply sat with the terrible truth. The galaxy had lost more than a species. It had lost its heart, and no one knew how to get it back.